You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_Beeble and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's mini episode, I'm going to be looking at rookies. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this every week. Maybe it's every 2 weeks we look at the rookies and we interchange something else for the last mini episode of the week. We'll see how that goes. But today we are talking about rookies, how they've performed so far, what is translatable, what rookies we can expect to improve as the season goes on. Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed. All right, so looking at these rookies, we're looking at fantasy value, categories as usual, per game value. It's the standard way for us to look at rankings and value of players. The number one rookie, now let's go back and reframe this. At the beginning of the season, I thought there was going to be two rookies who finished the year as top 100 players. One of those we haven't seen yet. That's Zion Williamson, of course, out until December with that knee injury. The other guy I thought would be a top 100 player, who'd probably be a top 50 player in the back half of the season, is Ja Morant. Well, we're here 7 games in, and Morant's the 46th ranked player so far this season. There is also 4 other guys who have cracked into the top 100. We'll talk about them in a second. But Morant is the number one fantasy rookie so far and doing it in under 28 minutes a night. He is averaging an astonishing 20 points per game, only hitting a 3 a game and only getting 5 assists per game. So there's significant scope for him to actually get better. Maybe he's a 1.5 threes per game guy. Maybe he gets to 7 assists a game. He's getting 1.3 steals. We weren't sure how the defensive numbers would translate. Under 4 rebounds. He's normally a better rebounder than that. But where it's really happening for him is the high shooting. 52% from the field, 50% from 3 overall. Now those numbers, especially that 50% from 3, we know that's going to drop off. And the efficiency was always the big concern about how his overall fantasy value would look, and it hasn't been a concern so far. So there's 2 trade-offs here. Morant's assist numbers and minutes will probably go up as the season goes on, and the shooting numbers will regress. And this rank where he comes in at number 46 at the moment, maybe that's around the same area where he ends the year as one thing increases and one thing decreases. So it's not like he's set for a huge regression because we've got other things that can offset that. And I truly think those things will happen. But he's been super impressive. The Grizzlies are keeping him under 30 minutes a night every game. He had that knee issue, obviously, that kept him out of Summer League, and they're just being super cautious with him. But we're seeing enough at this point to have pretty high confidence that he is going to be a top 50 guy at minimum next season. And when we're looking at dynasty value, he's probably going to peak as a top 25 sort of a guy in 3 to 4 years' time, I would imagine. If he's already showing an ability to score at this level and to get some defensive stats, that could obviously drop off. The big swing thing is going to be, can he maintain this high usage? But 31% usage is massive for Morant, and that is a big thing for him to be able to push into that top 20, top 25 discussion at some point in his career. The next couple of blokes on this list are surprises. Kendrick Nunn is the 55th ranked player overall. He's getting 30 minutes a night and scoring 18 points. Now, there were some fluky numbers with that coming earlier, but it's sort of cooled off a bit. 41% from 3 is still leaving him as the 55th ranked player. 49% from 2, that's not outrageous. 46% overall. The one thing I worry about with Nunn is the 25% usage and the 30 minutes a night. Will that be able to stick? 1.7 steals. He was a guy that got really high steal numbers all through college. Did it in Summer League, did it in the G League. Only 2 rebounds, 3 assists, not blocking any shots. Those numbers, the worry there is the minutes and usage, because everything else seems about right for Kendrick Nunn. He should be rostered in all 12-team leagues, but out of some of these guys that we're talking about here, him having a significant fall-off would not be a surprise, just as things run in Miami with Winslow, with Dragic, with Butler, and then it comes down to Nunn and Herro as to who's going to be getting the majority of those minutes. Last game, Nunn got 30 and Herro got 15. Will that be the case every game? Will they go to 25 apiece? Will they ever play Dion Waiters? Probably not. Injuries and that will occur, but it's been a super impressive start for none. The next player, Paul Washington Jr. Now, as the preseason began, he was a guy that I'm pretty sure I was telling everybody on this podcast to go and grab with your last pick. I love the opportunity. He didn't play in Summer League also, and that had that Kentucky issue where they just don't get to showcase their skills. He's been great to start this year. 32 minutes a night, don't see that really abating. 15 points and 6 rebounds. Unlike someone like Nunn, though, his value is skewed by some high shooting. 57% from the field, which includes 47% from 3, and a whopping 65% from 2. Now, if we look at things that can change, he's not blocking any shots, and he blocked quite a few shots at Kentucky, so that could increase. But 15 and 6 on the back of a 68% true shooting, there is some element of regression likely coming from Washington, but he's still only rostered in 75% of leagues. I've got no idea why. He should be rostered in all 12-team formats, and he isn't. So go and have a look to see whether he's there. He should be rostered in all 10-teamers, but there is an element, most likely, of regression coming for Paul Washington Jr., but he has looked really good, even though some of that shooting is potentially unsustainable. Don't forget, NBA season is here, and the best way for you to put your knowledge to the test is by putting your stake in the game with mybookie.ag. There is no better way to feel a part of the action. If you're the kind of guy who likes to bet a little to win a lot, why don't you try a parlay? If you like a couple of the big favorites from this week, parlays are perfect because they let you bet multiple games together for a much bigger payout. Either way, if you're going to bet this season, do the smart thing and go to mybookie.ag because no one gives you more ways to win. College basketball is also back, so you can turn your attention over to that and get prepared for March Madness by using your college basketball knowledge to win some money as well. If you really want to support your team, don't just sit on the sidelines. Get in the game with mybookie.ag. And if you join right now, MyBookie will double your first deposit. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNBA to activate the offer. That's the promo code LOCKEDONNBA to double your cash. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, and you get paid. The next rookie on this list, we're looking at Brandon Clark. Clark was a guy that I really liked. I couldn't believe he fell as far as he did in the draft. I had him number 4 overall in my Dynasty rookie ranks. He's number 4 so far in seasonal rookie ranks, and he's doing it in 22 minutes a night. Super efficient, 61% from the field. That was one of the hallmarks of him in college. 90% from the line. Well, that's probably a little bit high, but he's still always really good there. Hitting only 29% of threes, true shooting of 65%. None of this is outrageous for Clark. 11 points, 6 rebounds, a steal, 1.7 blocks. This is who he is. Look at his numbers from college. This is who he is. At some point, he is going to be a 32-minute-a-night starter in the NBA who is a top 30 fantasy player. I think that's fair to say. Look, I haven't even said it, he's already the 62nd ranked player in 22 minutes. Now, it is harder to go from 22 to 30. Per 36 numbers aren't linear, but nothing I see here from Clark really makes me think that he's not going to be able to be a top 40, top 30 guy at minimum by maybe next season. We know Jonas Valanciunas is there and Jaren Jackson Jr., although Clark has been out playing Jackson pretty much all of this season. Valanciunas is the better player there, and he's still going to get those minutes. But Clark is putting up great numbers, super efficiency, great blocks, and the upside is absolutely sky high for Brandon Clark. So he is a must-roster player as well. And these guys like Washington and Clark and the next guy, Eric Paschall, they all have roster percentages of under 70%. So they're floating around in plenty of fantasy leagues, and you need to go and grab them. Paschall is the 80th ranked player, 30 minutes a night for Eric, 17 points, 4.6 rebounds, half a steal, half a block. Like a few of these guys, there's some unsustainability there because it's coming so much on the shooting. His best fantasy category is field goal percentage. His second best fantasy category is free throw percentage. That means that his value in points leagues is significantly lower than what it is in category leagues. Where's the 80th ranked player? The 17 points, that category is obviously highly influenced by the shooting percentage numbers, but a true shooting of 66 is crazy. Almost 5 free throw attempts a game on 89% is also crazy for Paschall. The minutes is going to be really interesting to see how they do use him when Draymond Green comes back. That could cut right back down. The usage it's at 19%, again fueled by some high free throws and high efficiency. There are some warning signs there that he isn't going to be a 12-team league guy at some point and will probably drop out of the top 100. But for now, Paschall needs to be rostered until we see what happens when Green eventually returns, and then what they do with Green, whether they play Green and Paschall together, whether they shift Eric down to the 3 and bump Glenn Robinson. There are a number of opportunities, but he has been really, really strong to start this season. An older rookie, much like Brandon Clark. Both of those guys are 23 years of age, and Kendrick Nunn's 24. So in terms of their overall long-term value, we're talking about guys who are 3 or 4 years older than Ja and Zion and these other guys around this area. So that's important to note for dynasty type value as well. The next guy is Tyler Herro. That rounded out the top 100 actually. Ja Morant, Kendrick Nunn, PJ Washington, Brandon Clark, and Eric Paschall. They are the top 100 players. Interesting. One top 10 pick, 2 lottery picks, 1 second round guy, 1 pick in the 20s, and 1 undrafted player from the year before. Herro is the 120th ranked player, 30 minutes a night, almost 14 points, 5.5 boards, shooting 42 and 82. I guess the good sign there is he's not doing it on unsustainable shooting, 35% from 3, not unsustainable usage, 20% usage. This is about the area where I thought Herro should be drafted. It's about the same area I thought that he was projected to be in, and he's doing pretty much what we sort of expected once we saw him start to break out in the preseason. But the last game, he played 15 minutes. So as I mentioned with Nunn, with Winslow, with Butler, with Dragic, with Nunn there as well, like where is he fitting in? How is he getting enough minutes? It didn't happen last game. It's a real concern as to where his value goes. He's still a must-hold player, but it is worrying as to where he's going to fit in with the rest of these guys' return. The Dart, Goga Bitadze.
Problem with my Gogo-mobile. Gogo-mobile? No, not the Dart. Not the Dart.
Not the Dart, indeed. Goga is the 151st ranked player. 18 minutes a night. Now he's out for the next game for the Pacers with a concussion. 7 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks on 48 and 75. I think he's a top 10 dynasty guy in this draft. We're seeing him as a top 10 already player. His ability to hit threes, to rebound, to score, to be efficient, and to block shots is a sort of combination you get from guys, not to stereotype as white Europeans, but like a Yusuf Nurkic type of player. Like that's the sort of thing that someone like Bitadze can do. He's going to be a starter in the league. You should value him really highly in dynasty leagues. Now this season when Turner and Sabonis are back, I'm not sure how they're going to use him. I'm not sure how he's going to be utilized, and it might be a slow going for him to actually get to his overall value. But we've seen him on the court in 6 games that he fits in the NBA, and he's already making an impact, and that should give you great hope for him in the future. Rui Hachimura is the next ranked rookie. What number are we up to here? Numbers 5, 6, 7, number 8. Rui Hachimura, the 8th ranked rookie this year, playing 28 minutes a night, 12.6 points and 6 rebounds. Of course, the concerns I had with Hachimura have reared their heads. Limited threes, no assists, no steals, no blocks. Hasn't missed a free throw, doesn't get to the line either. I think he's had 6 free throw attempts all season. He's hitting 25% of his threes and he's at 45% from the field. Now, the points and the rebounds can be nice, and that's why he probably should be a 12-team league fantasy guy. But this is why I had him, I think, outside the top 15 in my dynasty rankings, maybe even outside the top 20. I don't have them on hand. I worry about where his upside is. Now, he hasn't played basketball for very long, we know that, but all his decisions seem a split second too slow. He takes long mid-range twos. He just doesn't do anything else apart from scoring in the least efficient way in the NBA. And that's a concern for overall value for Rui in Dynasty and for NBA value. And we're really seeing that start to pan out at the moment. And the last guy on my list, the 9th best rookie so far this season, is Roland Barrett of the New York Knicks. Of course, he is playing the most minutes of all rookies, of all players in the NBA, 37 minutes a night. Now I talked about the age of those guys. Get back to Barrett in a sec, but Herro, 19, almost 20. Bitadze, 20. Rui is almost 22, and Barrett is still 19. So really young players here. 18.6 rebounds and 4 assists is really great for you playing in points leagues. Great for you who love counting stats. That's fantastic. 1.4 threes, nice. The 1.4 steals, that's probably almost the biggest surprise from Barrett, who got no defensive numbers in college at all. Now, he hasn't blocked any shots, not a surprise, but the problem with his overall value is he is just murdering your free throw percentage. 49% on 6.5 attempts. That is the worst fantasy impact for free throws in the entire league. You are punting free throws if you have him. You are losing that category almost every week. Yeah, add that with the fact that he's shooting 43% from the field on 15 attempts, and that is what takes him all the way down to be the 195th ranked player this season. Do I have faith that they can improve? Not really. That was one of the big concerns with Barrett coming into the season. That's why I didn't think he'd be a top 100 player this year. He'd put up points, rebounds, and assists, but he'd struggle in defensive stats and percentages. And so far, he's struggled in defensive stats and percentages, with the caveat being that the steals are actually pretty good. Everything else is sort of where we wanted it to be. We worried that Fizdale would limit his minutes, and now we worry that Fizdale's playing him too much. And there is obviously a happy medium in the middle there. It's not like, oh, you're not happy either way. No, there is actually an option in the middle that makes more sense. But Barrett is putting up all those numbers and looks great. It's just that those percentages for fantasy are a real massive concern, and his value is amplified in a points league. That they are the top 9 rookies so far this season. Just missing out on the cut, Jackson Hayes, Chris Silver, and the painter Matisse Thybulle. If you want to know anyone else where they fit in the rookie rankings, you can check it over on basketballmonster.com. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on YouTube. Go and become a Patreon, patreon.com/redrock_bball as well. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.